Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Isaac Warren. I'm the Assistant Director of Digital Communications at the Illinois Association of School Boards. I have Laura Martinez here today in our Lombard office, and today we're going to discuss the Myers-Briggs Team Workshop. So thank you for coming on the podcast, Laura. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. Could you give a bit of a background about your job title and what you do at ISB?
Sure. I'm a field services director. So yes, I am out in the field quite a bit. One of the main things I do is in-district workshops with school boards and superintendents. And I work with the districts in the Lake Division, Northwest Division, and Kishwaukee Division.
Awesome. Very cool. So talking about the Myers-Briggs Team Workshop, I'm familiar with the Myers-Briggs, test. So let's talk about how we incorporate that into a workshop. What is the Myers-Briggs test?
Aha! I am so glad that you asked me that question, Isaac, because I want to point out that it actually is not a test. Okay. It is not a test. It is an indicator. So the letters MBTI, which is what we usually shorten it to, stands for Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. And based on how you answer the questions of the indicator or instrument, as we'll call it, the results indicate your type preferences. And it's based on the work of Carl Jung. He had a theory, a psychological theory of type preferences, which he believed are innate. So he believed that people were born a certain way to do certain things when it comes to mental processes. So he had a theory. And then there was a mother-daughter psychologist team, Catherine Cook Briggs and Isabel Briggs Myers, hence the name Myers-Briggs, took that theory and then developed it further and created the instrument out of the theory.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know about that. I did not know about that distinction. So that's really good to know.
Yeah. So what the instrument does is indicates people's preferences when it comes to certain mental processes, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And basically, it's your preference between one thing or another thing. And the result is a 4-letter type.
Okay. So speaking on the 4-letter type, I took one of those free tests online. Probably was nowhere near as in depth as the workshop we provide, but on that free test, I got INTJ. So could you tell me a bit more about what that would mean as a result?
Yes. So INTJ means briefly that you prefer introversion over extroversion. You prefer intuition over sensing. You prefer thinking over feeling, which doesn't mean what it sounds like it means. And you prefer judging over perceiving.
Gotcha.
So basically, those preferences have to do with, the first two have to do with how you direct and receive energy. That's okay. I and E, and you're an I. Mm-hmm. The second one is how you take in information. So that's sensing and intuition, and you are sensing. And then the third one is how you make decisions. So that's thinking and feeling, and you're a thinking. And the fourth one is how you approach the outside world, and that is perceiving versus judging, and you're a judging. So it doesn't mean you're judgmental. It just has to do with how you approach the outside world.
Gotcha.
So in the instrument, the results are 16 different types based on how the letters are. And the way each letter interacts with the other letters in a 4-letter type make it a very multi-layered result. But in a nutshell, except this isn't a nutshell, INTJs are independent, individualistic, and visionary. They work well when they can develop strategies, use foresight, implement their ideas, and create intellectual structures to meet goals. Unafraid of difficulty, they objectively analyze varied factors and global issues to meet complex challenges they can foresee in the future.
Wow.
So that's a snapshot of this personality type. It may ring true with you, it may not, but that's part of how this works.
Very cool. And, when you look up personality tests online, Myers-Briggs is definitely one of the big ones. There are a couple of other options. So what is it that sets Myers-Briggs apart, or why did this workshop decide to go with the Myers-Briggs personality test?
So I think that there are a lot of knockoffs of this on the internet because it's so good. And I think that a lot of the knockoffs are based on this. So I think the research is sound. I think the science is sound. But what's interesting about this one, if you do it with a licensed facilitator and not online, which of course, as a licensed facilitator, I highly recommend, you go through a certain process to get your results. And you learn that you are the ultimate arbiter of your type. So your results of the instrument totally depend on how you respond to the questions. So if you are answering how you think you should be, or how you wish you were, or how you are at work, then the results are not going to be true to you. What you need to do when you answer the questions is really think about, how am I when I am most me? If I'm imagining myself in a recliner with my feet up and feeling most at home, how would I answer these? So that's really how you get the best result. And you can check in with your type over time. So like, I know I'm a J. I'm that means I like to have plans. I like to make lists. I don't like to leave things, play it by ear. But I'm also an S, but it took me a while to figure that out between S and N. So you can, over time, check in. Oh, yes, that confirms this letter of my type. Or, you know what? I think I'm actually more this way. So it's something that is always up to you to make sure it rings true for you. It's not like a blood test where this is who you are, no question about it. And the question comes up sometimes, can a type change over time?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Oh.
The developers of this would say, no, it's innate. It doesn't change. But what does happen is in certain situations, you can end up using a letter, if you will, that isn't really you, but you use it so much you feel like, oh, this is me. That's called type development, when you are using the other letters that aren't your actual type. So it doesn't change, but the way you are in different situations can change over time.
It's really cool. I didn't know about the type, or sorry, you refer to it as type, like when the individual letters.
We call that a type, your 4-letter type.
Yeah. So like having that, like kind of like not changing your entire personality, like on a day-to-day basis, but maybe just like, I'm deviating towards these types of thinking processes. That is really cool. So thinking about how this can be applied to the work of a school board member, I can see the benefit definitely of at least understanding the personalities of everyone. What does this workshop bring to the table?
I am glad you said that. First of all, it's understanding yourselves, basically. So when I do this with board members and superintendents, first of all, they take the indicator or the instrument, which I already said this is what we're going to call it, and I changed my mind already, but it's the same idea. Everyone takes the instrument and then finds out about themselves and realizes, oh, yeah, that is me. Or, oh, I didn't realize this is why I did that. It's because I like to play it by ear and I don't like to have a plan and I like to see what happens. And now I see that, yes, that's part of my type. The second part, though, is learning about other people, and knowing how it works in yourself can help you understand how it works in other people. So when board members learn about each other and about the superintendent, I think that makes for a more effective team. I think the more you know about your team members, the better you work together. Understand their quirks, understand why some people need to be asked to share information rather than just, it could appear to be blurting it out. That's a type thing. That's an I or an E thing. So not only will people learn about themselves, and everybody likes to get feedback about themselves, I think, they learn about other people, which makes their own working together as a team even stronger.
Absolutely. Has there been a time where you're conducting this workshop at a board and there's a member who was like, this just makes so much more sense. Like this just like had sudden like epiphanies about.
Yes. And that is so neat to see. And it's really neat to see people, when people share their types, looking around and going, oh, that makes sense why you are asking for very specific information a lot. It's because that's how you take in information. You need very specific facts and information versus someone who sees the whole picture. And another reason why I think this is great for boards and superintendents to do is that it covers two really important facets of board work. One is taking in information and the other is making decisions. That's, a big part of board work. So being able to really understand how those processes work in yourself, but also in your team can help your overall effectiveness.
Okay. And so when you're considering, if there's a board considering doing this workshop, what would be an indication of like, we really need to do this workshop? Or are there like hallmarks of like, this board needs this?
Well, I don't think it's something that if a board does this, then everything will be perfect.
Sure.
I do think that this is a great activity for a board who wants to approach a board self-evaluation in a different way. So this can be done as a board self-evaluation, which means it can be done in closed session. And a lot of boards really take advantage of that opportunity. So we still talk about how the team works together. We still talk about communication, but we come at it from a little bit of a different angle. And it gives a really rich understanding of the dynamics of the team. And that's why I encourage boards to do this. When they've done a typical starting right or other board self-evaluation, they still want to be committed to their professional development and learning about how they can be more effective. This will answer those needs in a very unique way and really further their strength as a team.
Yeah. And like many of our workshops, it seems like this workshop is one that can go outside the boardroom, so to speak. Like you can take a lot of this information back to your own home, back to your place of work, and kind of like apply these things you've learned about yourself in different environments and see how that plays out, which is really cool.
Yes, that's the hope is to take it not only in the boardroom, as you said, but have people thinking about, oh, I see, this is how I'm like with my partner. And I think my partner is this way and interacting with me with my type. Oh, this makes a lot more sense now to really carry it further out of the boardroom, like you said.
Yeah. And it's just really cool that we can provide that value to our board members and they can take these experiences to other places in their lives. It's very, very cool. How can school boards get started with this workshop if they want to learn more, or just dive on in?
If a board is interested in learning more about the Myers-Briggs Team Workshop, they should contact their field services director, and I will be notified that there's a board that's interested in doing this, because at this time, I'm the only certified Myers-Briggs practitioner at IASB. So I would be the one to do this workshop. So it would be very easy to schedule.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking about the Myers-Briggs instrument. I think that this is a very valuable tool for board members to bring not just to their board, but also to their community as well. So if you're looking for more information about Myers-Briggs, please look on our website on the workshop details page. And also we'll have a link in the description so you can find your field services director if you want to get connected with Laura and have this workshop in your district.
Thank you, Isaac. This was super fun.